Hello traders, and welcome to Stock Goodies Chart School. Stochastics RSI was developed by Tushar Chande and Stanley Kroll, and it was first introduced in their 1994 book, The New Technical Trader. Stoch RSI is an oscillator that measures the level of the RSI relative to its high-low range over a set period of time. And this makes it an indicator of an indicator. So let's go ahead and load it up here on this chart for Bank of America BAC here at stockcharts.com. If you scroll down to the chart attributes area in the bottom, click in the indicators box and then scroll down to Stochastics RSI. And the standard setting is 14. It's going to give you a lot of signals, so if you would like to smooth it out, make this parameter larger and the lines won't be so jagged. Okay, you really don't want to set this one much quicker than 14. So let's go ahead and click Update. And as you can see, Stochastics RSI at a 14-day standard setting has a reading of 0. That means it is extremely oversold right here. Okay, Sto RSI ranges from 0 to 1. Okay, the important things to remember are it is overbought when it is above 0.8, and it's considered oversold when it is below 0.2. The other things to look for are center line crossovers, because anything above 0.5 is considered bullish and anything below 0.5 is considered bearish. This entire time this is forming a bearish head and left shoulder, right shoulder, two right shoulders, bearish chart pattern. And when it broke below neckline support in this area, it fell hard. Okay, so this was telling you it was below 0.5 and it was bearish long before. It was telling you it was bearish right here. Okay, before it even formed the first right shoulder. Okay, so that was an early warning that this stock looked like it was weakening and was going to fall, especially on, combine Sto RSI with chart patterns, volume studies. Okay, right here it breaks up above 0.5. It becomes bullish at this point right here. That was before a nice reversal candle formed a cup and handle, and a nice reversal candle at the bottom of the handle here. And when it started breaking above all this resistance, volume picked up. And on this day right here, it closed at the highest close on the chart, right up in this area above all levels of resistance. And that's exactly what you want to see, is huge volume, increasing volume as a stock becomes bullish above 0.5 and as it breaks above old resistance levels and forms a bullish chart pattern. Now let's look at the buy signals Stoch RSI has given on this chart. Okay, remember, anything below 0.5 is bearish. So any crossover above 0.5, like right here, is bullish, and the stock goes up. Here's another one. It becomes very oversold after this pullback. Nice reversal candle. Good volume at the bottom, and it runs for 3 days. The buy signal comes right here when it crosses up through 0.5, and that was right before the stock ran for 4 days. Okay, then it had support at 0.5, dipped just below it, stayed above it this entire time as it runs, breaks out to new highs on this chart on 4 or 5 days of really good volume. And it's doing the stair step thing here, where it goes up, a little pullback, up, a little pullback, up, a little pullback, gap and run. Okay, but he's all bull until right about here. There's some early warning in this area that he's dipping below 0.5, and then when he crashes down through it, he becomes very oversold, and your next buy signal comes here just before the next run when it crosses back up through 0.5, just before it breaks out above all resistance here on huge volume. This day right here was the highest close on this chart on really good volume, and then he ran for 2 or 3 more days on very strong volume and just kept running. Okay, here was early warning that it was starting to have trouble with falling through the 0.5 line, becomes very oversold below 0.2 and remains bearish. Now let's look at the bearish signals that Stoch RSI has given on this chart for Ford. Okay, right here it falls to 0.5, it bounces. Right here it crashes down through it, and the stock goes down. It tries to get back above 0.5 and fails, becomes very oversold and rallies. Okay, right here, this, like I mentioned, this was early warning that something was going on by dipping below 0.5, but then it crossed right back up through it. Okay, this is where it becomes very bearish. Okay, that was even before the second high on this descending triangle formed. Okay, so that gave you early warning that this was a top. And for about almost a month, that was the high. Okay, so that might have been a good idea to get out. There was pretty big volume here at the top the very next day. Okay, and the stock begins to form a bearish descending triangle with support right here, and this day on this red candle it closed below all support and went down a couple more days. Okay, so the buy signal came soon thereafter, and that was a nice run. Okay, this looks kind of choppy. This does look like a bearish chart pattern, something like a head and shoulders with 2 left shoulders. And Stoch RSI gave warning right here that it was over. The run was over. It crossed back down through 0.5 and remained there for the rest of this period, except for that one spike. Now let's take a look at this chart for Applied Materials, AMAT. Look at the buy signals first. Okay, right here, I see a bearish divergence with the lows lower, the highs lower, but the stock goes up. So there was kind of a war here. Looks like the bulls won because of the volume. And when Stoch RSI crossed up through the 0.5 line, the stock did go up. The next instance was right here. It tried to get above all this resistance, but bigger red volume came in, sent it back down below 0.5, and the next buy signal came right here when Stoch RSI crossed back up through 0.5 and the stock did go up. Okay, then it becomes overbought here. Here is another signal right here when Stoch RSI broke above 0.5 and the stock rallied a few days. Unfortunately, a shooting star showed up, which is a bearish reversal candlestick, and it crossed right back down through 0.5. Here's your next buy signal when Stoch RSI crosses back up through 0.5 and the stock does a huge rally. On this day here, on the highest volume in a couple of months, it closed at the highest high above all levels of resistance. Okay, and runs. Pretty good green volume here. It looks pretty equal overall, but here's your reversal candlestick and the stock moves sideways. The next Stoch RSI buy signal comes right here when it crosses back up through 0.5 and the stock rallies. The next big one comes right here just before the stock breaks out into blue sky territory, closes right here above all levels of resistance on the biggest volume on the chart. Exactly what you want to see. So that was a great buy signal. You could have been in here at the 1550 range and it ran $1. Now let's look at some of the buy signals Stoch RSI is given on Sirius XM radio, ticker SIRI. Okay, the first big one came right here when Stoch RSI crossed up through 0.5 and the stock rallied for another 2 or 3 days. Then it becomes very bearish under zero point 0.5. Here's your next buy signal when it crosses back up through 0.5 again. And again, the stock runs for 3 or 4 days. There's your reversal candle with the doji fully engulfing red over white body. The stock goes down and becomes almost oversold. Here's your next buy signal when it crosses back up through 0.5. That was the beginning of the bottom. This was a double bottom chart pattern, and on this day it closed above pretty much all levels of resistance on this chart. And the next day it did on almost as big volume. So that's exactly what you want to see, is the biggest volume on the chart as the stock breaks out into blue sky territory above all levels of resistance.